Hey guys, I'm currently editing part 2 of this 2 months later, but I forgot I didn't film an intro for the second part. Here's part 2 of my mom and my aunt talking about our favorite books together. Enjoy.
Maybe I'll do my next couple and just kind of knock those out. Yeah. So my next one is My Dark Romeo. This is another, it's a little bit darker than the Checkmate and things like that, but the premise for this one is it's a forced engagement, and she's like super bubbly, and he's very grumpy and wants things a certain way. But when I describe it like that, it sounds playful. But this is definitely very much more intense, maybe a little toxic. This whole series is definitely like many red flags. Where like if I met this person in real, I would never recommend this ever. But I liked it. The sex scenes are great, and I think that it has like this angsty tension, push-pull, toxic relationship that's really fun. The next one is Twisted Games, which is a bodyguard princess. There's a whole series that it's like a group of friends, and so
Tears have put me onto this series.
Yeah, it's great. I started with this one and then went back and read all the other ones.
Yeah, same.
But my favorite part about this is because, again, it's similar to My Dark Romeo, where it's like the very standoffish guy, and then the girl who's maybe a little bit more like kind and soft. It kind of gives you a little Princess Diaries feel. She's, stepping into a role in another kingdom, and has a bodyguard at college who's very strict.
It does give Princess Diaries.
Yeah. What bodyguard one did we read? A British one.
I don't know.
And she fell in love with the bodyguard.
Could be this one. I doubt it.
Then he got engaged to some woman that was a publicist.
Maybe we'll think on this one.
All right, sorry.
No idea what you're talking about. I know.
Continue on. I'll check Goodreads if it didn't fall through the cracks in my red list because I didn't put the red date.
Okay.
No need to go on the tangent.
Okay, and then the next is Dirty Headlines. So actually, these authors, will do combined writings. So My Dark Romeo will have a combined author with these others. So they're all kind of in the same vein. But it's L.J. Shen, I think, is Dirty Headlines. And this is, she meets a guy at a bar, and it turns out to be her new boss. And I like, it's a newsroom, and it's kind of fun. When the professions are a little bit more like elevated professions, and it makes sense where they're super quick with each other.
Yeah.
I liked that, and like general respect for general respect comes later. I will say there is, again, many red flags, very toxic.
Yeah.
Would not want the qualities in this boss. So, yeah. And she...
Better as a fantasy boss.
HR nightmare.
HR nightmare.
I'd be like stressing out.
But,
like,
yeah, you would be like, pardon me?
How is this sexy?
Yes. Yeah. Of which
HR violations are sexy.
I can suspend disbelief.
Yeah, Angie flag. But this one, great sex scenes. They like hate each other and tension and plenty of office sex. But I wouldn't recommend it to you because I don't want a 2-star. Okay, and then my top 3. I'll start with the third and then volley back. So my third is Heartless, which I know that you all have read as well. And this one, I loved her crest.
Cinder, the Cinder series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. I think we need to reread.
Yeah. No.
Now, Gilded.
Okay, no need to go into the negatives.
So when I read it, I read the title and then I forgot what the title was, and then I felt like I was expecting a different cadence of the book in terms of outcome and things, but I loved the tension and back and forth and look forward to the scenes with the characters together. The fun world building where you do know it is Alice in Wonderland.
But like with a twist and like you're not expecting it.
And it's, to me, it is the same thing with her other ones where you kind of think you know where the story is going. And then I finished it and was absolutely thinking about this for days. And like, honestly, like,
I still think about it.
yeah, just like, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, that has to be one of the best ones, I think, in terms of world building, the experience of reading it, couldn't put it down and think of it later.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have any notes on this one.
No, I don't either.
That is a flat out 5.
Yeah.
For me as well. I think it is. That is probably the best book that I've ever read of hers. Even though Cinder was so original, and the first book I ever read of hers, that there's something like so awe-struck about reading Cinder, that it was so original. Like her mastery of retelling familiar tales is so strong.
And each book in that series is about like a different fairy tale character. Yeah. And they like all connect and interweave by the end, and it's just so cool.
It is very cool.
It is.
Yeah, but Heartless, I've reread Heartless.
I would reread it. I haven't.
Yeah.
I would regularly reread Heartless.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what we saved the
keep-
5 stars.
Yeah, I'd regularly reread it. Reread it. I'd reread it every day. I'd reread it every week.
I'm not sure.
I've already started rereading.
I'm gonna read it. Exactly. I'm reading it right now. Fucking A.
So, my first Allie Hazelwood and my first Tess Bailey. I don't know when either of these came out. I know this has been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
And
These were both my recommendations.
Of course.
To bring her into the genre of romance.
so what's the other one that sounds like Love Hypothesis?
Kiss Quotient.
Okay, so Kiss Quotient I read a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I actually think this genre is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And this was one of your next after that. This one I read more recently, so I do want to start a little Tessa Bailey kick. But this
Love
one was
her.
fun because the lead is an airhead from LA.
Rude.
And
Me as well.
super popular but endearing, and he is a buff crab fisherman. Yeah, and sort of like hairy and gruff, grumpy.
Yeah, I've read it. I like
It's really cute. Good sexual tension. I can tell that she's building the world for the next 2 characters, which I haven't read that one.
Yeah,
anyway,
that one's fun too.
Good, fun, easy, fast, read in a day.
Yep.
This one also super cute. So awkward, but in a cute way.
Yeah.
This is not a giveaway, but right at the beginning, she like grabs a guy in the hall and kisses him to show her friend that she's gotten over a guy that her friend wants to date. And it's really awkward and uncomfortable and hilarious. So, and to me, believable. But, I have not been in a medical profession, so maybe that would bother me.
I've read both of those, and I like them both. I didn't love the main character, and it happened one summer. She was a little too like influencer.
Oh yeah.
Something was I don't know. But once she was in the town, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I do like that you think that she's not redeemable, and they couldn't bring her around.
Yes.
I love that story arc.
Allie Hazelwood hit it again.
Nice.
So my number 2 is Bride, and this is her first, I think, Omega-verse.
It is.
Werewolf vampire forced to join the clan.
It's her first like fantasy, I think.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think I've read all the
I
books.
think so too.
And they're normally the academia.
Mm-hmm.
And they normally follow the exact same, like, oh, he'd never go for me, and then he's gone for her.
Yeah.
Again, with the side character, there's like a little girl in this.
I love her.
His little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her in it too. It gave me a little bit of the sisters in Check and Mate. But the premise is, that she's a vampire, he's a werewolf, and that things are fraught and they have to come together, and this has never been done before, and so she's living in the house of the werewolves. So it's got my forced proximity, enemies to lovers, and then introduced me to the world of sex and Omegaverse, which I was not on that side of the internet. And I'm excited for you.
I don't even know what you're saying right now.
Realistic.
I will.
Yeah, that's really realism right there.
I was going to put this on my list, but I'm not sure.
Oh, you should.
You're so mean to me.
Devastating. Okay, and my number one is actually the most recent, is called Dixon Rule. It's an Elle Kennedy, and it's her, like if you read the deal, she is doing a series on the kids from that series.
It's really cute.
Okay.
I really
And so
like it.
I would recommend reading the first one, which is called The Graham Effect.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't read it after, it will be completely spoiled.
Yes. But also,
how many are there in the deal? Are each of the roommates?
So
in
so I think there's
series?
5 in that, and then there's even a spin-off,
Okay.
Briar You, and you've met some of the characters in the spin-off
Got
in
it.
the first series.
Yeah.
And so this is technically the 3rd series in that world.
Got
Yeah.
it.
That being said, I haven't read all of them in either of those series because there are certain tropes I don't like. So I don't.
Yeah.
Pregnancy will never get me.
No. Honestly, I've made a mess of this series. I read like 2 of that. I read the first 2 in
Jumping
the deal
around.
and whatever, and then 1 in Briar U, and then the Graham Effect. And now I've gone back.
I know, reading the Dixon Rule, because they name drop all of the characters from the first 2 seasons. I literally, like, my brain is hurting trying to remember
Like,
who
what
they did
happened?
once, and then it's just like a sentence for each, so it's really not that important. But like,
Well,
I
did
feel
read
I
some-
want to reread it. So
I read some things out of sequence.
What I really liked about Dixon Rule is the back and forth between the characters. I mean, like, are we sensing a theme yet with, like, my ones I love? But this, too, is... Sometimes I also have a hard time with... They're in college, and I'm 35. But this, they're kind of on summer break. And she's head cheerleader, he's on the hockey team, moves into her building, and she wants to compete in this dance routine, and they form a deal, basically, that...
fake dating
that, like, helps each other out. But they're, like... There is a realistic quality to, like, how they start to fall for each other in a way that I can picture, whether it's, like... him getting invested in a trashy TV show, or like how they talk back and forth while they're dancing, or they're kind of frustrated with each other but also still like not pushing too hard but just enough. This is a type of book where I read and I'm kind of like giggling and swinging my feet, where you're like, oh, this is just so cute.
Yeah.
Not every aspect of it, but
yes.
For the most part, though, like, enough tension, enough character development, enough spice.
Yeah.
But overall, the reading experience was, like, so fun. Overall, 5 stars on this one.
Yeah. I gave it 5 stars too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just going to mention Court of Silver Flames because I read this after I finished the Crescent City trilogy.
Okay.
Out of order,
which we were just talking about out of order. Crescent City I didn't read out of order. This is just out of order.
Yes, you're supposed to read it before Crescent City.
Any of the Crescent Cities.
Is that Nesta's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which
So-
I honestly thought she was gonna hate.
I know.
It's actually, it's one of my favorites, but it is very good.
How
sense.
contrarian!
I know, that's not my favorite.
So
Yeah,
we
what
all
did you love
love
about
Sarah
it?
Maas.
Yeah.
I paused on getting her books the moment they came out after the one right before Court of Silver Flames, because one, it was a novella and there was like nothing to it, and
is this the Frost and Starlight?
Yeah.
the end of the other one was also
Don't give it
annoying
away. Yes.
because of how the ending was overly
Buttoned
clean.
up, yes.
You know, that bothers me in fantasies. People need to die. They just do, you know? And so I was like, you know what?
No happy ending.
I'm going to take a pause.
recommending my mafia book.
People need to die.
This isn't
Contemporary
a romance.
romance.
Yeah.
People need to die.
It's not a contemporary romance. It is a period
Yes,
fantasy. So, anyway, so I took my time with it, but I got all the Crescent Cities, read those.
And then know the idea what the fuck is going on.
Well,
Yeah, actually, I was like, if you do anything, read that before the third book.
I started to read this concurrently with the third book.
Oh my god,
And so I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to finish the third book and then I'll come back to this. So I feel like I have a little bit of a unique perspective in that I read this and then it backtracked to...
And then the third
Some of
book
the
made
third book.
sense.
Nothing didn't make sense in the third book. If anything, it might have improved.
And just out here carving
I mean,
There's a fork in the road, and I said, fuck that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna make sense of either series. I'm gonna go this way.
oh, says the out of order book 2, but 5.
It's
a
one
romance. Oh my
They're
god.
standalones.
They get together.
This is a separate thing. It's called crossover, right?
No.
When they yes, it's not a sequence. It's a different world.
No.
So none of the Crescent Cities are in my 4-star list.
Yes, I've noticed.
I honestly think urban fantasy is hard. It just is hard. I had a hard time with Ninth House, and I love Lee Bardugo.
I love Ninth
What about N.K. Jemisin's newest one?
I'm having a hard time with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just think maybe it's because of the authenticity thing that I have. But then again, like, there's a lot of not realistic things in
For a
a lot of
second,
these
I
books.
thought you were gonna say maybe it's a thing with the authors.
No, it's just
Like maybe
I have to
N.K.
write my
Jemisin
own.
Shouldn't be winning Hugo Awards.
yeah, she's fucking amazing. And I'm going to be very judgmental of whoever is going to be directing the TV series of this season.
As you are with every adaptation.
Never going to
Expect
watch.
anything less.
Anyway,
What was your
If I even
favorite
watch it.
part of Silver Flames? Like, to speak broadly of it.
so you both read it, right?
Yeah.
But also,
Have you
no
both?
spoilers.
I know. Have you finished Crescent City?
Mhm.
Okay, finally.
I love that you waited like 7 years.
To
And I
read
rate
that
1
one
month.
month, actually.
Because I don't want to break my wrist holding the tome of a book on an airplane.
Literally so heavy.
Like, how do I hold
My
that?
back hurt because I had to lay it down and then like lean over it.
My God. I'm like,
Okay, Silver Flames, what I liked about it was the sexual tension with her and Cassian.
did you like Cassian before?
I did like Cassian before.
But he wasn't your fave. Who's your fave?
Well, it'd be...
Reese.
Right, yeah, Rising.
Why? What's yours?
Reese, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, hands down.
Yeah.
But, like, some people, like Cassian.
We're obsessed
Yeah,
with
I was
Cassian
like,
or
oh,
Azrael,
what?
yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, like, I get it, but
Yeah.
not really.
No, he was very good.
It'd be like if you say your favorite is, like, Cole instead of Rowan or something.
Oh,
I'd be like,
I fucking
Oh, yeah.
hate Cole.
All right, let's discuss who's read the Tower of Dawn.
None of
Anyone?
us.
Exactly. See what I mean? And I'm going to
that
just
book,
say...
no! That book came out later.
Yeah, and it doesn't even
Oh,
fit
but
in.
it's in there. It is in it. It is
But that's
literally
just from
in
his
the book.
perspective, though.
Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't
the same
matter.
book from
You
his
haven't read it.
perspective.
How do you even know?
Because I do.
Because I talk about it.
I would say,
But
and Anyway.
Oh, is that so? Cole's your favorite.
I'll Mom's gonna go and read Cole's book.
You know what?
You're defending Tower of God.
Which you haven't read either.
I'm not defending it at all. I haven't fucking read it either.
Next thing you know, you're gonna like the guy from Assassin's Blade.
Stop.
Sam? Oh. You're so rude.
Good. You'll
dead.
have him. I'll have Rowan.
Spoiler.
It's been years since that
I
came
was gonna
out.
say, we read that when you were in 6th grade. Catch
Or you could have waited 10 years.
Yeah. If people haven't read Assassin's Blade yet,
No, people
Too
are
bad.
just getting into it.
Yeah, that's the thing is Sarah
Okay.
Moss just like the general
we
public.
know that
just-
the general public is catching on.
Yes.
And that is lovely because it's, I think, helping the genre overall.
I agree.
But I think what I know that it bothered you, but I thought that you thought the friendship was maybe trite. I thought it was actually not bad. I like that.
I mean, she just replaced her sisters. It was kind of my annoyance. Is she like dislikes her sisters for no good reason, and then like gets a new family who understands her. It's like, but you're just mean to the family that you already have, so they don't want to. I'm just not a big Nesta fan, honestly. Like, I know some people like really like her, but I do not like her very much.
Maybe this is your older sister vibes of how everyone needs to.
Isn't Nesta the oldest sister?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's
That's
a
right.
bad oldest sister.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, exactly. Sometimes older sisters have, a hard time with other older sisters that are not doing what we think older sisters should do.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I wanted this book to be.
Mhm.
Okay, I wanted Cassian to rip Nesta out of her fucking apartment in the novella that you didn't read and take her up to that cold, dreary camp and put her
Yeah.
through a boot camp.
Yes, that's honestly kind
In
of
the
what
mud.
I thought we were gonna
And
get.
I
I
wanted
did,
her to
what
suffer.
did I not read?
Frost of Starlight and
Oh, she did read
I
it. She
did
just
read
hated
it, and it was terrible. It was so like nothing happened.
I'll
and
pretend
then-
I'm not hearing it. Well, that's but the thing is, okay, this is what I think I'm
And
trying.
then the
hey, look,
shadow, by the way, that we had.
Okay,
the cliffhanger
let
of,
her
we don't
talk.
even know what happened. Who's the shadow?
I know. The thing, this is what I think though, like for that was, I will agree, not the best book, but it gave us a little taste because
Yes.
I think
She was
Sarah J.
taking
Maas
her
was
time.
actually going through like some personal stuff and then didn't have time to write your
This, yeah.
5-star read. But I wanted that to be like, and so then she's in this camp, it's all dreary, and Cassian wants to like throw her a bone, but she needs to learn her lesson and like play well with others. And then sure, she can find her chosen family,
Yeah.
and Feyre can come visit, and they can go back and forth, and then Rhys gets mad at Nesta, and Cassian comes in. I mean, I could rewrite this to be epic. Now, the book that we were given, I felt like there was...
Are you reviewing my book?
Yes. I will say my opinion on it is in terms of the length of it.
It's fucking long. For
I
what
also
you're getting.
think too, like
You don't get any action until the end.
That's not true. You have like the
It's like very light.
her
You-
tripping up the stairs.
Yeah, literally, it's stair sequence sex, stair sequence sex, stair sequence sex.
I have no
ending.
problem with this book at all. I really liked it, and I feel
Really?
like, yeah.
What about people dying at the end? Should have happened.
They actually, well, spoiler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewrite this book to go
But
my
I think this
Fan
book.
fiction's for.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it was good because it had a continuous thread of what we would expect from Nesta having a hard time, which was well established in previous books,
Yes.
and that she was actually a more difficult person. Fabry says that, all along in her books, and so I like a heroine who is different, and the fact that she's sharp and unlikable is refreshing, and that basically by having huge amounts of rough sex, and then building her own chosen family, she finds herself and her own way, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, last book.
Yep.
Immortal Longings, Chloe Gong. The next one for this is coming out in September. I mistakenly thought it was coming soon. I mean, that's relatively soon.
Yeah.
Let's be
You've got
honest.
plenty of
Plenty in the meantime.
heartless renditions
Okay.
to reread.
So true. Okay, so Chloe Gong, as we all know, through these violent
Delights, yeah.
Our violent ends.
This is her first
I
adult
actually
fantasy.
haven't read any of her stuff.
You
I know,
should.
it's on my to-be read.
Yeah, I own all of her
I think
physical
that you
copies.
will like them all because her world building is
It's amazing.
pretty amazing. So she does retellings in
Romeo and
different
Juliet.
settings, totally different eras. How would you describe the setting of this one?
Honestly, this is kind of like, I'd say this is almost urban fantasy. But it honestly reminds me a lot of Serpent and... Yeah.
Okay, so
Or no, sorry, what's...
I would
Serpent
call
and the Wings of the Night.
Oh, yeah.
The trials, like, I feel like they're very similar.
this, I feel like, is Shakespearean dystopian future. And there's some really cool, original, like very different way of thinking of this concept of body jumping, which I haven't really read. I've seen it in the movie Devil in a Blue Dress. Or, no, a different one with Denzel Washington.
That's okay, we don't...
But don't think of it.
With Hayden Christensen.
But
Classic.
the concept that you can jump into another body, take over that body, then jump to the next one and that person get their body back or not, depending, except for the group that can't be jumped. And then we're in this like crumbling architecture of a city. There's a huge gap between haves and have-nots. There's a lot of backstory of a fallen prince. And one of my most favorite things is the literal end.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes I will say a book is so good, and halfway through, I get this sinking feeling that the third act is just going to be like a mess. And sometimes it really is a mess.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this was like so perfect for
Well, and it
this
sets
whole
up
time.
the sequel. I feel like I'm really excited for the
That's
sequel.
why I was like, of everything here, I don't know if anything else has sequels that I haven't read. Well, I guess, what's Sarah going to do next with this?
We have
one?
no
I don't know.
idea.
But this is going to be so fun. It's very cinematic.
I would love to see this in a movie form. I almost feel like I can't fully comprehend it reading, and I need to see a visual of it.
But then again, it's pretty good
Yeah.
by itself. I might have to move this one up. We'll see. Maybe I'll read it again as well. But I think her skill in the world is great. Maybe the only reason it didn't go 5 for me is the depth of the characters outside of the two main ones.
Yeah, I didn't really care about anyone.
That's what I
besides the
mean.
two. Yeah.
But, when you want every aspect of it, you don't want to be skipping ahead.
Yeah.
You want every page to be like, oh, and this is interesting too. And what about the king? And the bodyguard. Anyway, that's my close.
Okay, well, I'm probably going to break this into 2 parts. Because I think we've been filming for an hour and a half. But thank you guys so much for coming on. It was so fun.
It's great.
And thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Please like and subscribe.